The worst person on talk radio today. It happens every now and then. I have to talk about this person, even if I don't really want to. I am American social democracy, and I urge you to subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell so you're kept up with my commentaries. So let's get to the subject at hand. And I want to talk about the Joe Biden speech last night, State of the Union address. And I cut bits and pieces of it, and I listened to other people's take on this address to the nation, State of the Union address, and I got my perspective. But let's talk about Mark Levin. Mark Levin, who is one of the commentators for Blaze TV, which is a merger of the Blaze, run by Glenn Beck, and conservative review TV, run by Mark Levin. Now, I have problems with Glenn Beck as it is, but Mark Levin is significantly worse. Um, I don't like Glenn Beck, but Glenn Beck is capable, once in a blue moon, making some mediocre of sense on something. That could never be said about Mark Levin. And Mark Levin, basically, like I said in the title, Mark Levin is the biggest idiot partisan clown around. There! I said it! That's what he says on his show when he thinks he's being edgy. He'll scream through the air, there! I said it! Like, what you going to do about it? Well, Mark Levin's an idiot. Mark Levin, what are you going to do about it? That's it. There! I said it! He is a corporatist, which basically means he's a crony capitalist. He's a bloodthirsty neocon ghoul who never met a war that he was not opposed to. As I said in the previous post, I believe he strips down naked when he reminisces about the Iraq War that George W. Bush started in 2003. And as the military came in dropping bombs and invading the country and killing people all over the place, he probably just jerks off and that tiny limp penis of his managed to squirt a little bit of white semen out of it. He is an authoritarian who pretends to love the Constitution, who pretends to love freedom. And there's nothing he's ever said on his program that indicated that he loves freedom. Nothing. I mean, he dared to call Joe Biden's speech last night that it was socialism or even communism. For what? Basic Democratic Party policies that are mildly more liberal than what the Republicans will offer. Mark Levin, everything you don't like is not necessarily socialism, but you wouldn't know that because, as I said, you're the biggest idiot partisan clown around. Well, I mean, Joe Biden's nowhere close to being a radical. Joe Biden has more in common ideologically with Senate Minority Leader today, Mitch McConnell, than he would 2020 Green Party candidate Howie Hawkins. So Glenn Beck and Mark Levin sitting there talking, and Glenn Beck was having a little bit seemingly having a sense of humor about things, whereas Mark Levin, well, Mark Levin being Mark Levin, and it's a little long, but I need for y'all to listen to this to get a perspective, and I'm going to share it with you what I think. So, as I said, I do apologize for the length, but please listen so you'll get an idea where he's coming from and where I can correct him. Because as I said, he's wrong about everything. I'll make some funny faces while he spouts his BS. Here we go.
You know, Glenn, I started to take notes. And this guy's bouncing around all over the place. It was a speech written by a fifth grader. That said, you're right. Substantively, this is a frontal attack on our constitutional system and limited government. It is a frontal attack on our capitalist system. He's basically thrown the bromides for all the radical left groups that form the base of the modern Democrat Party. And I make the case that clearly not in all the particulars and so forth, but when you hear about the class warfare, attacking your own country is systemically racist, that it's immigrants, not citizens, who make the country. When you listen to the oppressed and the oppressor and the class warfare, this is Marxist bullcrap in its broadest sense. Now, all that said, here we are, a country now where one man can get up in the middle of the night and make a list of everything he wants to do to the country. You know what? I think we should extend education for 4 years. What the hell is he talking about? Well, no. I think we should give all DACA citizenship no matter what. Oh, no! What is he talking about? Oh, Trump screwed up the border, and here I am trying to get comprehensive. It goes on. It's like an unreality. We're living in separate worlds. Just looking at them. Every person in that chamber is vaccinated. Not one of them needs to wear a mask or to be 6 feet apart from each other.
Well, you know,
the whole thing is a fraud. Go ahead.
It was interesting, Mark, to watch beforehand, before the president came in, things that were not covered. We just got the raw feed from Washington, D.C. For 30 minutes, we saw them standing side by side, hugging each other, kissing through the mask. You saw, actually, Jill Biden, Dr. Jill Biden, do the same thing. There was no social distancing at all in the prior 30 minutes. It was all a show, period. All a show.
Well, I mean, I'll give you another example, right? Nancy Pelosi passes a rule that you're not supposed to use specific words that identify an individual's biological genitalia. No! So what does Biden do? He turns around and he says, never before in American history has a president ever been here, 2 women behind me. The problem with the radicals is they can't even keep track of their own schizophrenia here. On the one hand, we Americans can do this. We could do this. We're the greatest, but we're systemically racist.
We are.
What the hell? We're systemically racist, but we are the greatest people who can do anything. This was a speech, a Castro-like speech without the passion. As he's going through one issue after another, one part of our society after another, he wants to eliminate right-to-work states and force everybody into unions, even though they don't want to be in unions. 90% of people in this country in the private sector are not unionized. He talks about extending education. He doesn't talk about school choice. He doesn't even talk about opening the LA school system or the Chicago school system. But we should extend it 4 years. Why? To featherbed the unions. That's why. He goes on and on about we need to have free this and free that. Pay for it. Will hammer the successful and the wealthy people. Did you know 55 corporations don't pay any taxes? You know what else? There were 2 S corporations that didn't pay any Medicare taxes and Obamacare taxes. His, that he set up when he was earning $13 million a year. He didn't pay Obamacare and Medicare taxes because he set up 2 S corporations. I don't have a problem with closing, quote unquote, those loopholes, but why punish everybody, the entire society? Now, he goes on and on about the noble nature of government. Glenn, I tried to keep track of the number of new programs this man proposed. I couldn't keep track. Number one, I got bored. And number two, I'm thinking, what is going on here? It's like a kid in a candy shop. We should do this, we should do. And here's what it told me. Our constitutional firewalls have been breached. There's no talk about limited government. There's no talk about private property rights. There's no talk about individual liberty. None of those words passed his lips. There's not even a second thought about this. We have a Democrat Party that is fundamentally a tyrannical party that hates this country. What do they say that's good about this country other than we should rally around their agenda? I'm not going to rally around their agenda. Did they say anything positive about capitalism and free markets?
Nothing.
Not a word. Positive. Did they say anything positive about liberty or how we're going to expand it? Not a word. Did he mention a colorblind society? That's how we get along. Not a word. Did you hear him say anything positive and constructive about law enforcement? Not a word.
Okay. You heard my little outrage, and I, in between his silly words, and now you're going to hear mine. Constitutional system of governance under attack. Coming from a man, coming from Mark Levin himself, who loved the Patriot Act, who loves torture, who loves the death penalty, who is against the Miranda rights and for implementation of the anti-BDS law. Joe Biden is not anti-capitalist, as I stated earlier. His politics is much closer to a Mitch McConnell than it would be Howie Hawkins of the Green Party or someone like Ralph Nader, let alone Bernie Sanders. Joe Biden is very conservative. He opposes Medicare for all. If you think that Medicare for all is socialism, Mark Levin, well, you don't have to worry. He's promising that there will be no Medicare for all. Unfortunately, I believe Joe Biden. I wish Joe Biden was lying about it, and I wish that Joe Biden would aggressively push for Medicare for all. Even UK Tories in Great Britain. Boris Johnson of Great Britain right now, whose life was saved by the National Health Service. A healthcare system that you hate, Mark Levin, saved the life of somebody you will probably vote for if you lived in the UK. How's that? There, I said it. Radical Democrats? The Democratic Party governs to the right of Richard Nixon, almost to the right of Ronald Reagan these days. Class warfare? I wish we had class warfare. We need to wage class warfare. We've already had class warfare in the wealthy against the have-nots in this country. And we're creating more have-nots because of policies championed by jackasses like yourself. Referring to racism? Yeah, we got systemic racism. We sure as hell do. But you wouldn't care, Mark Levin. In spite of you belonging to a marginalized group yourself, your white skin protects you. Marxist speech? Mark Levin, you're more of a Marxist than the average Democrat. Why do I say that? There's not anything inherently wrong with being Marxist. I'm not a Marxist myself. Marxism in itself is not a bad thing. When you add a Leninist application to it, it's something I would disagree with. You're more of a neocon. You're more of a Marxist, Leninist, Trotskyite, Mark Levin, because your precious, stupid ideology of bomb and ask questions later of another country is based on Leon Trotsky's permanent revolution. Many of you neocons are too stupid to realize that your ideological forefathers were Trotskyite communists from the 1930s. Vaccinations and masks, another cultural war standoff. So you can just flap your gums to your ignorant listeners. Castro-like speech? We're talking about Joe Biden, who's going to continue bullying Venezuela. Eliminate right to work by pushing the PRO Act. Eliminate right to work in all 50 states, and well, the 27 states that have it. If Joe Biden is for getting rid of right to work and pushing forward to protect the Right to Organize Act, let me tell you what I think of that, Mr. Mark Levin. Good. Fucking base. I would like to see right to work gone. There. I said it. You act like 90% of the workforce being non-unionized is a good thing. The American dream is gone because we have low unionization. Less than 10% of the workforce is unionized. Compare that to Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Finland, where 90% of the workforce is unionized. You have the highest standard of living in the world. You don't want the average American to have a high standard of living in the world. You want you want the middle class to be gone, and you want to see the poor get poorer. You want to see the barely middle class sink into poverty, and you want to see the regular middle class evaporated too. Free stuff? You complain about free stuff? What about defense contractors, the military industrial complex? You love that kind of free stuff. You love corporations getting welfare from the U.S. government. That's the kind of free stuff you want. You love every neocon war venture that exists out there that costs us trillions to our debt. Colorblind? Years ago, you referred to people involved with Black Lives Matter as ethnic thugs. Getting kind of bold there. That's going beyond dog whistles. And then you label anybody that's a Democrat or nominally on the left that might find some aspect of Israel objectionable, and you scream through the rooftop, "You're an anti-Semite! You're an anti-Semite! You're an anti-Semite!" Yet, you got jack shit to say about Marjorie Taylor Greene, who thinks that there's a fucking satellite out in outer space owned by George Soros or the Rothschilds shooting laser beams into the California forest, starting fires. Oh, I get it. She's a Republican. It's okay when they're anti-Semitic or racist. But if a Democrat says something that is mildly critical of Israel, they're an anti-Semite. They're an anti-Semite. They're an anti-Semite. Shut up. Mark Levin, you're a piece of shit. You are just absolute garbage. There! I said it. If you like what you heard, press like and comment. If you dislike it, well, there! I said it. Feel free to share the content on this channel. As the First Amendment absolutist, for which I am, Mark Levin is not. If you have a platform, utilize it because we're the muckrakers of our time. And, of course, hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you're kept up to date with all my commentaries. And until next time, I am American social democracy, peace, and class struggle yesterday, class struggle today, class struggle tomorrow, and class struggle until we have full economic and social justice for all. And that's a motivating factor. Mark Levin hates class warfare. Wage it. Wage class warfare and be proud to wage class warfare. Fan the flames of discontent, as the IWW used to say.